y'all, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Sierra and I post videos on this channel every single Friday. I post lifestyle videos on here, mostly bookish, as you will see if you subscribe, which I highly recommend doing. I love talking about books, specifically Christian fiction, so if you have any video ideas within that realm, drop them in the comments below and I will do my best to make it an actual video. But on to the actual video of today, which is me sharing with you my favorite classic of all time. This is also my favorite book ever. Like, I don't want to say I have a favorite book, but if someone was like very insistent and said like you have to pick your favorite book, I would go with this one just because I love it so much and I've reread it so many times. I don't know how many times I have fully read it, like a lot. So let me just get into telling you what the book is and why I love it so much. So my favorite classic and my favorite book ever is Emma by Jane Austen. I have read 3 Austen novels in entirety, part of another one that I wasn't able to finish, but I am like hoping by the end of this year that I can have read all of them. I have this super pretty edition of Emma. This is actually it's not a collector's edition. It was part of a book subscription box, and they had this cover like specially made just for that subscription box. I know there's a Pride and Prejudice one of these as well that was made for that box. The only reason I found that out is because I wanted to collect the other ones in this style, and I looked them up and only Emma and Pride and Prejudice exist in this one, and I got this at a thrift store for $1. $1 for this beauty of a book. That's a whole other story of like I got so many great things when I got this book, but I knew hardly anything about Jane Austen other than that all of her books are classics and like romance classics when I bought this book. So when I first started reading it, I knew that it was classic literature and that I would probably enjoy it because I had enjoyed a couple of classics up to that point, including Pride and Prejudice. And I totally didn't expect to fall in love with Emma so much, but obviously I did. Fun story about Emma. I recently wrote a book report on this book without referencing the book or researching it at all. That's how much I know about it. So the reason that I love Emma so much is because I think it really like perfectly captures the essence of one of the major themes that Jane Austen tried to write into her novels, and that is what can happen during the passing of time. This book takes place, I believe, in 1 year, and it starts with one key event and ends with that same key event taking place again, just in a different setting after all of the evolving change that is constantly happening in the novel. And I'm just so impressed with how well Emma really captures that, of like that theme that I just think Jane Austen highlighted so much, is like, here are these characters in this community and here's 1 year, and look at the difference in who they are, their position in life, their relationships with the other characters. That is, in my opinion, at the core of this book. That theme is so present. Another thing I love so much about Emma is that it really highlights through the different characters like the different kinds of people that you do and don't want in your life. Emma is the main character. It comes from her perspective, but I definitely wouldn't say she's like perfect. She's not meant to be perfect. The friends she has in the book are also not meant to be perfect, and it's so beautifully written in a way that you see the imperfections and the beautiful parts of each character. And some characters that we're introduced to in the beginning, Emma gives us a rather distasteful opinion of them at first, but by the end, through different interactions, different conversations, instances, all those things that happen in books, you come to learn that they're not really all that, I'll just use the same word, distasteful as Emma originally thought. And her character development from being Emma's character development from being a rather, I don't want to frustrate people, but this is my opinion, for being a rather stuck up, somewhat arrogant, a little bit haughty young woman in high society to a more grounded person who recognizes that she is far from perfect. And obviously this is a classic and a lot of people know a lot about it, but I don't want to give away the plot because if you haven't read it, it is such a gem of a book, and I want, when you read it, for that to be your first experience of just like, wow. I hope that's your first experience when you read it. So I definitely love the character development. That is something that I go on and on about when I am reviewing books or talking about books. If you stick around or watch any of my other videos, I will, that is something that is very important for me. Does the character develop? And I will talk about it. Character development and character relationship. The relationships between the characters. How do they change? How do they evolve? Especially if that is a key part of the book, and it very much is in Emma. Friendships, romantic relationships, parental relationships, all sorts of things. I don't want to get too much into the particulars, but there are definitely a lot of changing dynamics in this book. I do believe that by the end of the book, all of the characters that Emma has a friendship with, their friendship has changed in some way or the other. Characters that she doesn't quite appreciate or like at the beginning of the book, things change as the book progresses. But yeah, that is definitely a very important part of the book to me. So capturing the theme, on-point character development, really good relationship arcs. Another great thing about this book is that yes, it is set in high society. I believe it's set in high society, definitely nobility. There are, the richer people who live in the manors, and then there are the tenants and the commoners, the farmers, all of those people. A great progression in the book that has to deal with class and society is that there are very definite limits and boundaries set up in the beginning of the book about class and who's allowed in what circle of people and who needs to stay out. And as some characters try to include those whom others believe shouldn't be included, great interactions and conversations take place about the inclusion of everyone. And by the end of the book, there is definitely still those boundaries set up, but they are looser in the community of Highbury, which is where Emma takes place. In my opinion, there is more appreciation for everyone throughout the community. So those are my humble opinions on Emma by Jane Austen. It is my favorite novel of all time. Again, I just love it so much. If you'd like me to deep dive into other classics, I'd love to. I have read other Jane Austen books. Again, I want to read more. I've read a lot of children's classics, so let me know if that's something you're interested in and if you enjoyed this. Emma is so timeless in my opinion, and it's so sweet and beautiful. I will link a copy on Amazon in the description, but you can find it from all sorts of stores online. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you've read Emma or if you now want to read Emma, and any other comments in the comment section. I will see you in my next video. Until then.